not our podcast, our stream of the episode,
Uh-huh.
and apparently, like my mic didn't have any effects on it.
Huh.
It only had the noise gate on it, so you could hear all the
Uh-huh.
hum in the background, except when I stopped talking, and then it would
That
slowly
is
fade out. I was like,
that's so
"Fuck."
weird.
Yeah,
Well,
I just didn't have the app open. I need like a list of apps to have open.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So, shall we do our usual intro?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Why don't you start?
All right, so this is Campaign Trail. This is our apparently bi-weekly podcast that doesn't get edited, so it's not coming out. Um, about
Hell yeah.
B&DMs.
Hell yeah.
I'm Rich, and I've been a DM. I've been a forever DM forever.
Mm-hmm.
That sums it up.
Pretty much. Hello, I'm Tristan. I've been a DM since, well, I suppose since 2018. So that would be what, 3 years now? Golly. And this is a podcast, a sort of informal support group where I ask for help on building my campaign. And Rich gives me advice for free, which is a criminal crime. So, Rich, what did we talk about last week?
I ranted about your player,
Ah, yes.
and he apologized to me on Discord. Did I tell you that?
He did apologize. He apologized to me directly.
It was so
And
weird. I was like, "Don't apologize to me, man. I was getting carried away. Like, as long as you learn, I don't care."
no, and to be honest, even though he was the one who cast the spell that kind of upset the combat, I don't think he's to blame necessarily. And I don't feel any anger towards him or even towards the one who coerced him into it. It's the people who don't seem to get the point and seem to think it's the funniest fucking thing in the world that a combat that I worked very hard on was subverted and turned into a half-hour nonsense fest.
Yeah.
Not naming names, but if you're listening to this podcast, you know who you are, and please be more respectful and don't hurt my feelings, or I'll kill your character.
That's all right. Rock's bald and he almost died.
Yeah. Oh no, not him. There's like another.
Oh, was there?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, it seemed like those two were had conspired before the game.
Well, the player who cast the spell, we'll call him Jay. Merely like he's just.
He seems new.
He's new, but also he kind of gets it in the way that D&D works. Not just it's not just an adventure or like whatever, like you take it at face value, right? Whatever D&D is supposed to be. He gets that it's a resource management game from both from the player's perspective and from the DM's perspective. Yeah. So he's kind of like we were when we started playing your campaign. We were all about optimizing, and taking advantage of everything we can get. So from his perspective, I was throwing a world-ending threat at him, and he needed to pull every trick he could out of the book. So he takes assistance from another player who's keen on optimizing and didn't seem to mind trivializing the combat. That player has not since apologized, but the player who helped Jay, we'll call him W. W is not apologized. I don't feel like he needs to necessarily. He hasn't really rubbed it in. There's a third player, B, who I think is like a third degree removed from it. And B, not only has not apologized, but has continued to make light of it every time it comes up, because to him it's the funniest fucking thing in the world. But I mean, he can't see all the nuts and bolts. He may not have heard this podcast. He doesn't know how I feel about it. So unless I take him aside personally, I can't really hold it against him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, from his perspective, it is pretty funny, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like the way it came across in the stream was not that you were just like, "Oh well, let's move on." Yeah. You weren't like, I think you did mention once how hard you had worked on it. But aside from that, yeah, I don't know if I didn't know what was going on that I would have noticed, really.
Yeah.
Especially if I wasn't observant.
True. She took the observant feat. All right. It's time for me to stop feeling sorry about myself. Time now to think about the future. May I ask you for help once again with the dungeon I'm currently running? Yes, yes. So to recap, our players are climbing a tower commanded by a very rich um, villain who basically has done away with all. He's like stolen away with all of the money in their world. Like this, their city is a world, and their world is a city. And he basically has access to the national bank, and he took all the gold in it, and he's used it to build a private army and like a fortified tower and buy a bunch of crazy gadgets and stuff. So they're going to siege that tower, take back all the treasure. And that's what they're doing. They have reached floor number 3 at this point out of 10. The first 2 floors were so the first floor was just literally a firing squad, because the character in question, the villain, knows the player characters very well and used to be like a quest giver for them. So of course he'd know how dangerous they are, and in terms of the way he deals with them, it's got to be overkill.
Right.
So he just has like a literal firing squad of like Goodfellas monsters with machine guns in the opening room, just like, light them up, boys. And he did light them the fuck up, which, even though they all got pelted with machine gun fire, took a lot of damage, the players like really enjoyed the visual there.
Yeah.
They had a lot of fun with that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the world feel real, right? You're not just walking into an empty foyer of the guy who's expecting you, and he's waiting upstairs for you to kill him. He's got shit going on.
He does have shit going on. I tried to keep that in mind. I took your advice last session. So the second floor. Do you remember when you said that as a DM, if you think you're being too overt, you're not?
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So that literally came into play that very same day when they got to the second floor, and I'm like, you are in a Scrooge McDuck style vault. The floor is made of coins. Coins and gems are pouring out of the ceiling. There's a statue in the corner with empty eye sockets, and there's like a riddle on the wall. And so they read the riddle, and then they spend like the next 2 rounds like going, what does it mean? What does it mean? And like, I kept having to point out to them, like, so they're like, okay, so there's the statue's empty eye sockets. I'm like, right. And the riddle talks about how like the character's eyes are blue. And I'm like, yes, that's right. And like, and there's coins pouring out of the ceiling. I'm like, and gems of all different colors pouring out of the ceiling. They're like, what does it mean? And to be fair to the players, they're not foolish. They like, a couple of them kind of came to the conclusion, but like for some reason didn't want to voice it in case it was wrong.
Oh.
That is something that I feel like a lot of players run into, where they have like a good gut response, but they've kind of been trained either by the GM or their own experiences not to jump on it for some reason.
I mean,
or they're just shy. Yeah,
it's hard sometimes to play with a player who is in life a backseat person, you know, who just goes along for the ride. And they're like, that's why I'm here. I go along for the ride.
Yep, that's true. But they did end up solving the riddle after much hemming and hawing, and then the big statue of the bad guy, the villain in question, after they fit the gems into his eyes, it becomes a sacred statue, which, if you'll recall, was an enemy from, I think, a first edition module. You know the classic picture where it's the big devil, the big fat devil with the the gems in his eyes.
The Eidolon? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. He turns into an Eidolon statue, and I'm like, you've solved the puzzle. And then the statue like comes to life and says, psych, and goes to murk one of the players who was flying up there. I allowed the cleric to use both his reaction and his summoned like spirit's reaction, because he had like this celestial he'd brought into being. And I'm like, okay, so the celestial's going to go ahead and push the wizard out of the way of the train here and take all the damage for him. Because I'm like, again, it's about resource management. I'm trying to get them to burn that level spell and burn that celestial they summoned. So the celestial takes a shit ton of damage, and right away they can see how much damage this thing can do and that it hits very hard. So right away they know the stakes. And what's it call it? Sacred Statue is probably one of my favorite enemies, because it hits like a fucking Mack truck, and it's immune to so much shit. Like it's a really credible threat. So, and the whole time, like, there's been almost none of the complaining that I've gotten used to about, oh, you're trying to kill us, you're a killer DM, oh, it's too dangerous. Like, they knew the stakes going in. They knew, I think, before this arc of the campaign even started, because there was a downtime activity, you'll recall, where Frankie Peanuts, the villain, tried to assassinate them in 12 different ways at the same time. And only the sorcerer who could stop time was able to save everybody, because like he saw like a missile hovering in the air and a bomb under someone else's seat and poison in the food and a bunch of gunmen behind the bushes. And like, yeah, he had to do a bunch of stuff to save everybody. So they knew that Frankie's style was overkill. So they had a lot of fun fighting the monster. And then they got to floor number 3. And I described the floor there, what they saw, and then we called it there for the night. We're averaging about 1 floor a session here, which I don't mind particularly, but one of the players, I may have mentioned this before, one of the players, we'll call him R. His character uses time magic, which is typically something that belongs to the guild of another player. We'll call him Q. So Q has this backstory where his character's parents died or disappeared in some kind of time magic related experiment years and years and years ago. So naturally, I put 2 and 2 together and said, I think R stole like a device that does time magic from, I'm sorry, let me mute this, from Q's parents. And I think that's why they died. So I think Winter Soldier style, he is responsible for their deaths. So the meat and potatoes of this dungeon that I'm really excited about is a scene where Frankie has somehow gotten a hold of the footage and implicating R's character, and is just going to show it to the party and to Q. So that's floor. I pegged that just off the cuff as floor number 7 out of 10. So it's going to be pretty deep in there.
That's good.
The R is having like a lot of trouble out of game. He is like dealing with like his landlord's like giving him shit, and he's having trouble. He might have to find a new house. So my worry is he may be busy or not have the right time to come in at that session and bear witness to this wonderful scene that I've crafted. Do you think I should move the floors around and do it sooner? Because I think he said he'd be able to make it next session.
What floor are you on now?
We are on floor number 3.
Or 3. So I would want to keep it deeper. If you're looking at 1 floor per session, then, I mean, this is going to go on for quite a while.
Yep.
You've got 7 more weeks. And I think once you hit 5, I would start worrying about it. I would say past the halfway point. And then all I would do, is just shuffle the floors around. Is he going to make it to 6? So what's it sound? Does it sound like he's going to make it to 7? Let's hold out for 7. Oh, he didn't make it to 7. Let's make it 8. Didn't make it to 8. Let's make it 9. You know?
Yeah.
Didn't make it to 9. Let's make it 10 and add a floor.
Yeah.
Kind of battle them out on the roof.
Okay, quick question. Who is anybody watching the stream right now?
No. Don't be ridiculous.
Okay. Just offering a disclaimer. Just want to make sure none of my players are getting in on stuff they shouldn't be. Get ahead of time.
Right.
Oh well. Spoilers. Let me see here. So yeah, just keep an eye on it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do like the idea of it coming later in the adventure.
After they've had time to bond more, I think.
Right. Yeah.
As characters.
And through this
I wonder if I should like set up like, Is there a good way? I'm trying to think of like a specific kind of puzzle or enemy that would cause the sorcerer to aid the wizard, or vice versa, to cause Q to aid R and like become closer friends, or vice versa. So that way, it feels like a real gut punch. At 7,
you would have to. I mean, I think that it would have to have been done earlier. Well, I mean, if you're doing a floor a week, I mean, you could still get like 3 weeks of camaraderie in there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're already kind of buddy-buddy, right? Because they both use the same kind of magic.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And so I would take a look at their whatever those things in 5e nobody uses, but everybody writes down. Traits? Traits, is that what they're called?
Notes? Traits, yeah.
Yeah. Bonds, flaws,
Personality
and
traits?
yeah, exactly. I would look at those for a little bit of influence. I wouldn't count on them remembering or using that. But I would look there and I would try to connect something there. That's fine. All right. Okay, so I would start in
Okay.
personality traits and see if there's anything there that you can farm out. And then making a puzzle, I think. So if they both use the same kind of magic, make it so it's obvious that
Yeah.
that puzzle has to be countered by that magic. And then
Okay.
once one of them counters that magic, it's actually a trap and it entraps them somehow.
Ah.
And the other player with that magic is going to have to step in and use that magic somehow to get him out.
Interesting.
So I would look at their spell list and their personality traits and try to make some sort of trap like that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. My initial question before getting into it tonight was, is it folly to design a scene or a room or an encounter around a specific player? What do you think?
So it depends on a lot of things. It depends on how much of a focus this player is in the campaign, like how much of a focus you've made them, how much the players have made them, how many times you've done this before, how many times you're going to do it again, right? So having a scene around one player is not necessarily a bad thing, but try to make sure you do something like that for everybody. And try not to focus on one person all the time, right?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Or are you talking like mechanically or?
I don't know, just like, so the scene revolves around Q and R, and if either Q or R aren't there, it just doesn't work. There's no emotional impact.
Right. Hang on just a second. All right. It's definitely risky.
Yeah, you're right.
So R is the one who's not showing up, right?
Potentially, yeah. He missed last session, and yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe make it a puzzle you can move around, right?
Yeah.
So if he's not there this session, then next session, hopefully he'll be there and you can use it then.
Yep.
And I assume each floor is like a little map of rooms, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, so just like swap out another room.
Yeah. I mean, I'm mainly doing theater of the mind here.
Yeah. Swap out another encounter for it. And if all else fails, I mean, you can just skip that part. You know.
Yeah.
You can still use the puzzle, but not make it a trap.
True. Let me see here. Yep. This is exactly what I need. Okay. So let's talk nuts and bolts, if we can, about tonight's session. Tonight, we should have R in attendance. So I took your advice and made each floor based on a Orzhov card in Magic the Gathering, a black or white magic card. So floor number 3 is a card called Zealous Persecution, which is a black and white spell that causes all of your creatures to get a little bit stronger and all of your opponents to get a little bit weaker, giving you an edge. And the way I have flavored that is I was going to borrow your maze that you did with us when we had to. It was a maze full of magical darkness. The walls of the maze were like chains or barbed wire or something, and you had the devils that could poke through with their long spears. And the center is the altar that like controls some aspect of the trap, like the darkness or the maze or something. So
That's a dirty maze. I love that.
yeah.
It's in a book that I have aptly titled Total Party Kill Handbook.
Deadly. Quick aside, I don't know if I told you this before, but I was trying to think of a way to work in like a deadly encounter. And the idea was there'd be like so picture this, there's a giant robot and he has like a big disintegrator ray, like a cone or like a 10-foot beam, like 10 feet wide or something, 5 feet wide, that like deals a shit ton of damage to you if it catches you into the deck save. And a deck saves, if you're high level, can be pretty easily avoided, but not if you are stunned. So my thought was that the big robot would have like a little like monk bot, like a monk buddy who would run around and just use all its large number of attacks to hit people and stun them the way a monk does, and then it would jump out of the way and go light them up, and then it would blast them, and because they're all stunned, they'd all auto fail their deck saves.
That's dirty.
It kind of works. You can do it with like a dragon or anything that procs strength or deck save, really.
So as long as you're broadcasting that, I think.
Yeah.
As long as maybe they walk in on that happening, they walk in and the monk stuns some other dude, right? And they jump back and they get to see the disintegration in action. Then they're like, okay, we need to focus on not being stunned. So if they go in there with that information and then they fail, it makes them feel like it's something they did, as opposed to you playing dirty, because you've shown them the rules of the encounter up front.
True. So speaking of showing them the rules, so basically I borrowed your maze and tweaked it a bit. At the center of this maze, they can see now because the cleric used a powerful daylight spell to banish the magical darkness, and I had him roll to kind of dispel it the way you would a dispel magic or a counter spell.
Yeah.
And he did roll high, so he gets to see the layout of the maze. But it's still a complicated structure, like made out of barbed wire. At the center of it, there's this big altar that they would recognize being of Phyrexian make. So it's from this alien world whose invaders they've been battling. And somehow Frankie's gotten a hold of like this artifact from that world. And what the artifact is going to do is it's going to summon these monsters that, like, when they damage you, they can lower your max HP and infect you, basically, with their evil contagion. And with the playing the theme of Zealous Persecution, the card, which the players would know as Magic players, it makes your forces stronger and your enemies weaker. I was going to have the whole room be subject to a kind of what's that spell W likes to cast? Sickening Radiance. You remember that one?
Yeah.
A microwave spell. So every round they're going to have to save against like a temporary, basically, level of exhaustion and some radiant damage.
Ooh,
and I don't know if I could just like say it's doing this and then not do it, or yeah.
Exhaustion is
too much.
Underused. No, it's underused. It's great. Because there are spells that can get rid of it, and I think they're high enough level to have them. I think Lesser Restoration will get rid of it.
Greater Resto will do exhaustion.
Really?
Lesser, I think, is just poisoned or diseased, I think.
Crazy.
Yep.
Greater.
So the whole room is radioactive because this altar at the center is emanating this sickening radiance. And I was thinking, okay, it weakens the players and maybe it buffs the monsters it's summoning, or I could just say it's buffing them and then not do that, because I don't know how I would do that.
Well,
heals them. I'm not sure.
I would Um. So if you want to do it, I would. I would just tweak it on the fly. Say it's
Right.
buffing them,
That's
and if they need buffing, then give them bonuses to hit or something.
yeah, that's a good way to do it. Let's see here. They should they are the monsters at the very least going to be immune to the spell, I think.
Right.
Of course. So, the other thing I wanted to do was because I don't really like to use maps until it's like a boss fight.
Right.
Theater of the Mind goes faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I'm like, well, it's a maze. I have to get to the center of the maze to disarm the thing. I think, let's see here. I thought, because there is a spell called Maze,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, what if on their turn they just get like a free action, like they can use their movement, whatever, to try and quote solve the maze. And the way maze works is, I'm going to read it here and see if this will actually work, because I had it in my mind. Okay, so you banish a creature you can see within range to a labyrinth and demiplane. The target remains there for the duration or until it escapes. The target can use its action to attempt to escape. When it does so, it makes a DC 20 intelligence check. If it succeeds, it escapes and the spell ends. A Minotaur or Garistro automatically succeeds. So maybe my thought was, rather than like having to draw a map maze, which like, first of all, if you draw a maze and you put the characters in a map in it, they can see over the top, so they know where to go.
Right.
Which kind of works because the maze is made of barbed wire, so I guess technically you could see through it, but it might be kind of, Byzantine.
Right.
My thought was I just give them a free action every turn to make that intelligence check and try and solve the maze. And they just need like 3 successes or whatever. With maybe not a DC 20 to solve it and get to the center. But maybe lower the DC. Or because it's made of barbed wire, they can try and crash through it and just take damage a bunch of times to get to the center. So how would you do that?
I would do a skill challenge.
Okay. Straight up and down, like they can choose any skill or
any useful skill, yeah. And then what level are they?
They're level 13.
Oh shit. So yeah, I'd keep the DC at 20.
Woo.
And if it's too hard on the first round, then lower it to 15.
Okay.
Or maybe put it at 18.
18. And I split the difference.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like 20. But I mean, 20 is pretty low. If you've got efficient players, 20's low.
Yeah. It's true.
Remember when we did what the hell was it? It was a weird dungeon. It was the Sancrofel dungeon or Scanafel dungeon.
Yeah.
Where it was just a bunch of boxes.
Yeah, that's right.
And I started out at 25, and I was like, well, no, we're going to drop it to 20. And then we got halfway through it, and the next week I bumped it back up to 25.
It's because we were carrying around a level 8 player. We were level 17.
Yeah, but I mean, 20 sounds high, but it's not necessarily high, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's a proficiency bonus at 13?
I feel like it's +5.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at sheets right now. Proficiency bonus is +5, yeah.
Yeah, so
they're in tier 3.
So with that +5, all they have to do is roll a 15 or better. Also, they're probably going to be using their best skills. So I would assume some of them have 20s, right?
Yep.
So that's what, +4? Or +5? That's +5 too, right?
That is right, yeah.
So that brings it down to 10. Now it's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Also, they're going to be using something that they're skilled in. Or no, that's proficiency bonus, right? Proficiency, yeah. And then you have rogues?
We may have a rogue. He's been the rogue player. Yes, actually, there's a pure rogue player who's kind of in and out, and he's not really committed to the campaign, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's another player who's a rogue / blood hunter, and he's also kind of a skill monkey.
So you've got double proficiency for that expertise.
Yeah. He's got expertise in some stuff. That's true.
So that brings it down to a 5.
Yeah.
And if you do a straight up skill challenge, that'd be like 8 to 3. 8 wins before 3 losses.
Yep.
And he would be, I mean, he could be responsible for probably at least half of those.
Definitely. So I'm trying to like, I like the idea of a skill challenge, but like the room is, I mean, it's literally just a maze. So how do you, I don't know, how do
I
you flavor a certain skill check in a maze?
that's I think part of the skill challenge is
Yeah.
the players using their knowledge, right? It's that there's player knowledge and there's character knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And the maze will test their player knowledge, right? It'll have them, you know, decide what best way to use a skill, right? So lock picking to, you know, maybe undo some of the barbed wire,
Yeah. Okay.
or yeah, athletics to jump over and or jump up high and see around, you know, or jump over and pull someone through, you know. Um, so yeah, I would definitely give them a couple examples. Give them like two examples because it is kind of a weird thing for a skill challenge.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's a good one to it's a good place to use it. And skill challenges aren't always necessarily challenging with the dice. It's more the player challenge of how can you use your best skill, right? Because they're going to want to use their best skill.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to role play through this. Oh well, my character thinks he can talk his way out of it, so he's going to talk his way out of it. No, they're not going to do that. You know, they're gonna use what they have to their advantage.
True. Okay. So I'll give an example. Like you could use, let's see here. You could use acrobatics to try and jump over, or you could use
Athletics to jump,
athletics to jump. And I'm like, and
acrobatics to
I
squeeze through.
acrobatics to squeeze through. That's true. Thieves' tools to disarm like one of the gates in the maze or something.
Yep.
All right.
Have you
So eight
so
successes before.
have you
Yeah,
started the maze, or did they just walk in and cast daylight?
they just walked in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that there are gates that need keys in this maze, and that immediately is going to make the thief think lockpick, if not everybody. There are puzzles to be solved, right? And explain that this is a skill challenge and all these things are abstracted.
Yeah.
So that you're not going to find a puzzle and get it. You're going to use a skill to solve a puzzle that'll push you farther through this maze.
Yes. And I could see like the maze is like shifting like around the room. It's like moving and stuff. So, and they see like mechanisms and such within that they would need to disarm and like find keys for. And then I'll tell them it's abstract. I'm not actually going to keep track of keys in this room, blah, blah, blah.
Right, exactly. I think that's the hardest time I've had doing skill challenges with you guys is conferring the abstractness of it.
Okay.
Because
So,
we've been playing on a screen mostly with a map.
yeah. Theater of the mind can be useful.
Yes. Yeah.
It gives and takes. So, the three failures. So, I'm kind of going backwards on this, but maybe this could be the consequence of one of the failures. Like each failure, like you've done before, each failure is a complication.
Mhm.
And so the players like lose something by failing. They don't automatically lose the thing by getting the thing, just like it makes it harder for them.
Right.
So,
Well, so yeah, the skill challenge ends when you get 3 or 8.
yes.
It succeeds either way. They get through either way. But if they lose, then something bad happens. If they don't, then something good happens.
Yeah. So before I conceived of this being a skill challenge or a maze challenge, you might recall on the first floor, they fought this Minotaur robot. So more backstory. In the world of Magic the Gathering, there's a world called Amonkhet, which is basically Egypt world. And the big bad of the campaign, like the big bad, basically he's kind of like Magic the Gathering's Acererak, is Nicol Bolas, the Elder Dragon.
Right.
And he's a planeswalking dragon, and he is all about conquering other worlds. So he went to Egypt world a long time ago and like corrupted the ley lines there and like enslaved the gods of the world and like perverted their religion so that it focuses just around creating like their most puissant warriors and then entombing them in an afterlife, which is like literally like a place they go. Like they go through a big gate, and then no one knows what's on the other side of it. Kind of like a little like Logan's Run kind of deal, like one of those.
Yeah.
So Nicol Bolas basically has been taking these really powerful warriors and mages that the world's been producing and eternalizing them. There's this metal called Lazotep this world produces, and turns out if you coat like a zombie in Lazotep, it can survive going between worlds. It won't disintegrate the way non-planeswalkers usually do. So he's got an army basically of these zombies coated in Terminator metal, basically.
Okay.
It's kind of like a reverse Terminator. So that he's got that's his big play is this army of warriors he can take with him from world to world. So Frankie, having connection to this big bad, obviously has purchased some for personal use. And so on the first level, they fought a bunch that had machine guns for some reason. And then halfway through that fight, there was a really big one, a big Minotaur that had been eternalized. And that one was basically, for the players, it's a treat because they recognize that it's Necheb, the Minotaur warrior, who's like a magic card from Amonkhet. And they're like, oh, cool. And in character, they're like, oh, it's a big scary monster. Oh, I think originally I was just gonna like, oh, they're in the maze and they're fighting these Phyrexian monsters, and then halfway through, the goon squad that the quest giver had sent after them to clean up and collect the treasure behind them is gonna radio up and say, watch out, that Minotaur robot got back up after you killed him and he's climbing the elevator shaft after you guys. And like halfway through the fight, he's gonna come in and like the Terminator, like they keep like killing him and he keeps just getting back up and coming back in a later room.
That's awesome.
That'd be cool.
That is.
Yeah. So do you think maybe that's a consequence of one of the failures or something?
Yeah, I think so. If they, like, you could even do it so if they fail the skill challenge, they have to fight him. If they pass the skill challenge, they just see him coming up.
Ooh, okay. Got it.
Eventually, there'll be a point where they have to decide to go forward or to stand and fight, but it'll be their choice.
Literally.
I mean, because the Minotaur is going to walk right through the maze.
Gotcha. So, in previous sessions, we've had each of the failures constitute a different, discrete complication. So do you think I should just do like one or the other, like 3 fails and you fight the Minotaur, or 1 or 2 fails or no fails, you see the Minotaur?
I don't know. I think the Minotaur is pretty cool anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I really like that idea when I thought of it.
Yeah, I would definitely keep it in, but make it so. Well, so at least one of the failures is the Minotaur. You fight the Minotaur on its terms, not yours.
Got it.
So maybe on the first fail right there, boom, Minotaur.
Yeah. So what would the second and third be, God willing?
Well, how about the first thing when you start the session? They get the warning that the Minotaur is climbing up.
Yeah.
All right. And he doesn't have a climb speed, so he's going to be slow.
Oh, shit. I think, hey, I just had a thought. Let's backtrack a second, because at level 13, DC 20 isn't a bad DC, but I just remembered the whole room is covered in sickening radiance, and exhaustion gives you disadvantage with skill checks.
Yeah, so maybe 15 or 18.
Let's do 15, because that's like a nice even keel. And if they're really breezing through it, then I'll up it. All right. 15 seems fair for sickening radiance.
Right.
Holy shit.
Disadvantage is about I think it's like minus 4.8 or something %.
I never thought about it having a statistical average, but yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's about a minus 5.
Yes. All right. So failure number 1. Or sorry, no, just open the room. I don't know. I feel like the rhythm of it, I like the Minotaur being like a second course sort of for the room, Like they've done maybe 3 skill challenges by that point, and then also there is a Minotaur. Because like that to me is like the game equivalent of the scene in The Incredibles where he's fighting the robot for the first time, and then he tries to do the same move he did against it earlier where he jumps over it, and then it zooms in and you see the robot like thinking, and it remembers how it jumped over him. You can see the diagram of it, like his trajectory over it, and it grabs him from overhead and tosses him, and it plays like the musical sting, like da-na-na-na. That to me was a very like, oh no, like moment. Like it's oh no, but also it's wow, cool.
All right, so you want the Minotaur to come in the middle. You want the knowledge of the Minotaur to come in the middle.
I think that, yes, that is. Because if I'm just like, if I open the room on, here's a room, it's super fucked up, you have to get through, it is this, this, and this. Oh, also there's a Minotaur. That feels, I feel like it's kind of a lot of, like, what's the word, front loading? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure too. I mean, but that's pressure to get through it, right?
True.
All right, so first failure, they find out about the Minotaur coming up.
Okay. Failure 1. Neheb warning. Okay. Failure 2.
That would be maybe the Minotaur reaching the floor.
Neheb appears.
And then, failure 3 would be roll initiative in the Sickening Radiance.
Initiative. So my initial thought was that there would be monsters kind of already in the maze, and that because it's based on a card that they know where your monsters are buffed and your enemy's monsters are weakened. So do you think maybe the monsters don't fight until Neheb catches up to them? Like the monsters are just like a passive hazard? Like maybe each failure also procs just like one attack from the monster that reaches through like the fence and attacks you. Like there's sentries, they're roving sentries. So like part of it could be.
How many monsters were you planning to have?
Just like 3 or 4.
I would just have them go in initiative order, right? However you're doing the skill challenge, just throw them in it.
Okay.
Right. If you go around the table or around the Zoom, just have them be at the end, right? And 3 attacks from these guys.
3 attacks from these guys. Yeah, because it's like to abstract it, it's like you're in the maze. The maze is see-through. It's made of barbed wire, and like these sentries are just kind of running around, and you're running around, and you're doing these skill challenges, and also they're like poking you through the maze walls. Right. Got it.
All right. So, adding to the skill challenge, I wanted to mention this earlier, but I got distracted.
Oh, please.
Let them know that they can, like, not just use skills, but use use things, right? Use spells that make sense. Use items that make sense. Maybe even since it's barbed wire, have them, be able to take damage and break through it or something.
Yeah. What's a good amount of like equivalent damage they could take to be equivalent to making a skill challenge?
I don't know. What's a trap? Let's see if I can find this quickly.
How about 4d6?
That's the only thing I dislike about D&D Beyond. The search is kind of vague.
Yeah.
Where the hell is traps in here? How many hit points do they have?
Well, let's see here. I'm looking at 2 different characters right now. The wizard has 141 max. He's currently at 94. The sorcerer has 62 max. He's full.
So, I mean, that's like...
There are characters that are tankier.
That's 14 damage average, so...
Yeah.
And, well, the tankier ones are going to be taking the damage, right?
Yep.
It's going to be them who thinks about,
most likely.
Oh, well, I'll just bust through.
Yep. True.
All right, here we go. Damage severity by level. Character level 11 to 16. A setback is 4d10. Dangerous is 10d10, and deadly is 18d10.
Fuck. A set 4d10 is a setback? Holy
Yeah.
shit.
So that's 20 damage. 22 damage.
On average, yeah. Could be up to 30 something. 40 at max. Good lord.
Right.
But you're right, that is more likely going to be 20. Still 20 damage. It's a fucking hit.
Well, that's what you want it to be. I mean,
true.
Like, just like if it's a spell, you're consuming a spell slot, right?
Very true.
If a monk or a paladin want to use their abilities, I would, have it about a level, right? Lay on hands is what, 5 a level?
That's right.
Or monks get what, 3 key a level? 4 key a level, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, so how would 20 to 30 damage hit one of your tanks?
Both of them have abilities that let them tank non-magical damage more easily. So it should count as non-magical, right? So that to let them soak it up easier, or should I?
Yeah, definitely.
No, it'd be mean to just be like, and it's magical barbed wire.
Right. I mean, it probably would.
It's electrified barbed wire.
Frankie Peanuts has the money to spend.
Oh my god, you're right. And like, it is solid gold enchanted barbed wire.
Right. So maybe that's it, right? They don't. It's not that they can, because barbed wire is easy to get through.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how much of it there is, but maybe the fact that it's magical barbed wire that's how you're taking the damage.
Okay.
Because you can just break through it, no problem. Like you could cleave through it, no problem. But maybe it's got, an electricity trap on it.
Yeah.
And then there's another use of thieves' tools to disarm one of the walls of barbed wire.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. 4d10 magical slashing. Frankie purchased solid gold. No, Mizium enchanted barbed wire. Mizium, for our listeners, is a metal that's found only on the city of Ravnica, the world of Ravnica. And the players are intimately familiar with it because one player's guild manufactures it essentially, and it's a very volatile material.
Oh, nice. So it can explode, maybe?
It can explode. Yeah.
So that would be, just offer that as an option. You can use these, a skill like this to do this, a skill like this to do this, or you could bust through it and take damage.
Yep. Okay. And they get to the center of the room. The altar is there. Does the altar have HP? Do they need to fight the altar? Or can they just smash it and that's the end of the room?
I just say smash it and that's the end of the room.
Smash it. Got it. Inside is their video game power-up key, like a geometric key rotating in space. They get that. Then, do they need to do another challenge to get out of the maze? Or does the maze,
I would just have that be the end of the maze, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then you would have to deal with the Minotaur eventually.
Very true.
If they fail once. Again, I would say, the Minotaur's following you, but it's your terms when you fight him.
Yeah.
Right. 2 fails is you're going to have to fight him at the end of this room or this level.
Yeah.
And 3 fails is you fight him right now.
Got it. 1 fail. Fight the Minotaur on your terms.
Like anytime before floor 9.
Gotcha. If at all. 2 fails. He is waiting at the end of this room. Room 3 fails. He interrupts the skill challenge. Cool. I also like the imagery of him just like walking forward and like the fucking barbed wire just like catches around his waist like a fucking like velvet rope and he's just walking forward pulling it behind him.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then if they get 3 fails, just end the skill challenge after the fight. Because it's a good fight, yes?
It is, yeah. He's got a lot of different abilities.
Okay. And different, he's got multiple attacks?
Yes, he does.
Legendaries, maybe?
He has 3 attacks, and like one's a ranged attack, and he's got this wacky thing where if they target him with a spell, he radiates it out and hits other people.
Oh, nice.
And he does a bunch of crazy shit. Stole the stat block and modified it from one of D&D Beyond's. D&D Beyond has a lot of crazy custom shit because people are always making stuff, and it is a grab bag of awesome and terrible.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they used to go over it.
Literally.
Yeah, they used to have a bunch of guys sitting in a room that would be like, nope, this is too much like a monster we already have. Nope, this is fucking copyrighted material. Nope, this just plain sucks.
This just plain sucks.
But yeah, it's too much. It's too much shit. And like, especially once people like really got on that D&D Beyond bandwagon, they were just like, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. You put whatever the fuck you want up there. We're not going to police it.
Good shit. There's like an auto policing system. If your thing has like links to other pages, it goes down. And there's like certain copyrighted terms where it won't go through. But other than that, yeah, anything goes.
Yeah, I haven't used it too much.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see here. All right. Does this room need any treasure?
How valuable is that barbed wire?
Caveat. Well, yeah, maybe. They did get a lot of treasure from the last room, which was basically like a room, like a Scrooge McDuck vault. They're like, we're going to take as much gold as we can carry.
Right. Open the bag of holding and scoop it up.
Yeah. And the Orzhov player was like, we should just take our fair share. We're, here to do this. We shouldn't take more than 10% or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The other players were like, how about I do anyway? So I think I did say to them like 3 separate and different discrete times, like, there is a boss fight waiting for you at the bottom of this tower if you try and take like everything that isn't nailed down.
Right.
Because you're not here to take everything that's not nailed down. You're here to kill Frankie. So I think, they met like the NPC group, the Orzhov Goon Squad, that is like, hey, we're here to take all the stuff. And it did say it's a Scrooge McDuck vault. They could labor for like 10 minutes and not take everything.
Yeah.
But they got like an obscene amount of money. So I think the Mizium, if they want to try and collect the Mizium, then that could be something they could do after the fight or after the challenge.
Right.
Ooh, like if they fail 1 or 2, it's like, oh yeah, you can collect the Mizium, but that Minotaur is closing in on you.
Yep.
That's good. Okay. Possible treasure.
Yeah, because they're gonna think of that straight away. They're gonna go, that's worth money, isn't it?
Yes, they will. Smart boys. Okay. Let's see here. All right. Can I talk more about this dungeon, or do you want to call it here, or talk about something else?
I don't know. I kind of want to talk about my session.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's do it.
It was so we started Tomb of Horrors.
Yes.
And you guys cleared 15 rooms, even though half of those were empty rooms. And
can I ask how many rooms there are?
There are 33 numbered rooms.
Fuck.
That last batch of rooms that you went through was 1 number though.
I figured, like,
so there were
just
9,
like a bunch of like
10, 11. Yeah, there are like 12 rooms right there. That.
Yeah, they're just like, it's just a bunch of shoe boxes with arrows coming out of them, like that arrow trap you.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. When Tom said, "Okay, I think we should cut it here," I was like, "Why?" And then I looked at the clock and I was like, "Oh my god, it's 11:30," which is like a good solid hour after we normally play.
Yeah, definitely. We were bumping through that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was very exciting and intense.
Hell yeah. Whew. I don't really have and I know you said you tweaked it a bit, so I don't really have.
I didn't tweak it at all, actually.
What?
Yeah, I looked through it and I was like, wow, this stands. This is good. I like this. This works.
Even the infamous rock crawl everybody dies room?
Will triggered it.
Oh, we triggered it.
Yeah.
That's the room?
That's it. Yeah.
He didn't die at all. I was so disappointed.
So when I looked at this, when it came out, that's what I remembered. Those two front rooms that you just die and you're fucked. So that's what I looked at, and I was like, oh, they toned this thing way down because those two rooms you don't die. But as you get deeper, there are things that just straight up say you die. Nothing can bring you back short of a wish.
God damn.
So I mean, you guys have that out at least.
True.
Someone
we have two discrete wishes. Yeah.
3.
Who's
yeah,
3?
Will, Tom, and the Book of Tongues.
The Book of Tongues. Holy shit! You're right. Yeah, 3 per session then, and potentially, or maybe 4 if one of us wants to put on the hand and Eye of Vecna.
Right.
And then we just got to find that room that switches your alignment around. Ba-boom! Got him, coach.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to getting into like actual traps. I mean, the arrow traps, the whole thing is it's just whittling you down for the end.
Literally, and
like that is the whole thing of this dungeon. It's just slowly whittling you down, and you can't avoid it. Like, there's no explanation for that arrow trap. There's no, this is how you disarm it. It's in the walls. Arrows fly out. It's always reloaded.
Yep.
It's a what it was. It's a 50% chance that someone in one of those rooms is going to get hit.
Huh.
So everybody who was standing in the room, I just rolled percentile dice for.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Not connected to anything.
I can, I can think of a couple times during that session where someone's like, let me just use a 4th level spell and we'll cheese these rooms. And I'm like, no, we need those spells to kill the lich at the end of this dungeon. Don't forget, there's also a lich at the end of this dungeon.
A named lich.
He's got a fucking name and shit. He's not going to be easy to fight.
Okay, so I am changing the end. So there is something I'm changing.
Yeah, because the original, no spoilers, obviously. I mean, you can kind of read the writing on the wall at the end of the dungeon. There's supposed to be a demi-lich.
Correct.
But the Acererak is a lich.
Right.
So he's got arms and legs, which differentiates him there from the demi-lich. And
he doesn't have Terrifying Howl.
Does not have Terrifying Howl. So he's just a high-level spellcaster.
Yeah. That was, I mean, Demi-Lich is mean. That fucking Terrifying Howl fucked you guys last time. If the Demi-Lich hadn't been in like that fucking igloo room thing,
yeah,
he would have been able to cast on all of you.
Yeah, that shit's scary. Oh yeah, and the Doom Vault. That's right. I forgot there's a Demi-Lich in there. Fucking
Demi-Lich he like locked you down for 2 rounds.
That he did. Scary. No, yeah. So Demi-Liches don't have as many spells as a lich, really, but they make up for it by having these wacky abilities that do like 12 different things.
Right.
So in essence, I don't know. They're kind of almost more interesting than a regular lich.
I think so. That's I've never really used one, but when we did that fight, I was like, oh wow, yeah.
Ooh.
Each creature within 30 feet of the Demi-Lich must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw. Sorry, Roger. On a failed save, the creature's hit points maximum is magically reduced by 3d6.
Fuck.
If you're reduced to 0, you're dead.
God, that is so scary. And
that's a legendary action.
The blinding dust thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
DC 15 con or be blinded.
Yeah.
DC
God
15
damn.
or cursed to have disadvantage on all attack and saving throws. Oh,
Oof. Oof. Fucking oof. Jesus H.
oh shit! And the howl. It's not like you're immune to it afterwards either. You know, kind of like
Yeah.
a banshee.
Yeah, it just keeps doing it.
Right. It's a recharge 5/6.
Like a breath weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
that's
that's
a challenge 18. What's a lich? I want to say a lich is less.
maybe a lich is more dangerous because
No,
it's
they're
tougher.
21.
So lich is DC is CR 21 and a demi is 18. Is it just a hit point difference, like a different resistances immunities difference, perhaps?
Oh no, they do have the frightening gaze thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, but it's one creature and it's immune if you save.
Okay. Kind of like a mummy lord.
Yep.
Huh.
And then they've got spells,
Yep.
power word kill. But you guys fought a lich already.
We did. We fought a whole ass lich in that dungeon. We were like, we just walked in. There's a lich, and we're like, get him! We just like
No, at the
blasted
end
shit out
of
him.
at the end of the mountain, the cliffs,
The cliffs.
you fought a Sarax simulacrum.
Oh yeah, yeah. There was that. We also fought like a
And I
lich
mean, he
in
had
the.
half the hit points, but I still almost killed Loston.
That's true. Oofa doofa. Mind you, we have gotten stronger since then.
Right. Well, so challenge level 21, that's a party of what? 4 fifth level characters can take down a
Oof.
21.
Oh God. Yeah, I guess they could.
Right, that's how it works.
I think so. Yeah.
Divided by 4.
Woo.
Yeah, but so you put a pack of liches in there.
Oh God.
4 liches.
Holy shit.
Now, I've been using Sly Flourish to calculate CR encounters.
How does he differ?
He adds up the players' levels and divides it by 2, and that's a deadly encounter.
Hmm.
So it accounts for more than 4 players, and it kind of automatically forces you to do action economy.
Huh.
So like the mega fight you just did with the witches.
Right.
That was your levels versus a CR of an equal amount divided into 3 parts. So they were more than deadly fights.
Definitely.
But you guys are efficient
Yes.
and showered with magic items.
Yep.
So I don't worry too much. Like the thing that I'm looking at is, can I take someone out in one hit?
True.
And if I can, then I think twice about it. Hang on, I gotta run to the bathroom.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break too.
All right.
Let's come back to it in a second here.
Oh, no video. Are you back? Let's see what we got here. Yeah, these are trash. Ray of Frost. Oh, I guess he's got, what's his, plus 12 to hit? That's not too bad. And it's Frost, not Fire. I would get rid of these two, though. Maybe keep that one, get rid of that one. No Detect Magic. Magic Missile, yes. Shield, yes. Thunder Wave, maybe. Acid Arrows, alright. Detect Thoughts, no. Invisibility, no. I would go for Greater Invisibility. Counterspell, Spell Magic, Fireball. Animate Dead, I mean, it's thematic, but, yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather have Lightning Bolt. Have the circle and the line covered. Dimension Door is good. Light is alright. Cloud Kill. Yes. Scrying now? No, because he would have used it yesterday and known they were coming. So he'd prepare something different. Disintegrate for sure. Globe of Invulnerability for sure. Plane Shift, Finger of Death. Dominate Monster, yes. Power Word Stun, yes. Power Word Kill, yes. I would also try and fit Time Stop in here somewhere. Or give him a magic item of Time Stop, maybe.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Okay. So, it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah, it'll be fun though.
I've run Tomb of Horrors before. I've also played Tomb of Horrors before in a one shot that someone did, whereas he's like, everyone roll up level 20 characters. We're going to do Tomb of Horrors.
Nice.
And it ended up being kind of a very jokey session. Mm-hmm. That was the first non-Adventures League game I'd ever played, 5e. And I don't have that sheet anymore. Oh no, I'm so sad. My character was a dwarven fighter. He was 6 feet tall. His character name, his name was Stabber McGee.
Nice.
And he had mithril armor, which consisted of a helmet and elbow and knee pads. And he had, instead of a broom of flying, a skateboard of flying. and he also had an enchantment on him that created magical runes that floated above his head so that you would know his name at all times, because there were green runes above his head. It said Stabber McGee in all green capital letters with brackets around them.
Did it rotate?
It sure did.
That's so good.
Yeah. He had a number. He spoke in emotes. So if you need to say something, he'd say 5 or 6 different phrases and would accompany it with a thumbs up at all times. Let's go through this door. I miss my family. Let's go through this door. And he would constantly crouch over and over and jump around in circles for no reason. The conceit there being that he was some kind of a video game character that some kid had hacked into this game, and only he was aware of the fourth wall or whatever reason, for whatever reason. So there's a little bit of, it was very silly. And what I remember, of that fever dream of a game, my brother who was running it was quite faithful to the original material, and Serac at the end is just him, right? Because you go through all the traps and then you fight him at the end just by himself.
Correct.
And looking back at it, that seems kind of weird, because now when I design a boss fight, I'm like, you can't just have the boss.
Right.
That'd have to be a pretty fucking stellar boss. just fight you on its own. It needs mooks. You
Right.
need mooks to run interference and deplete even more resources that the players have, so the boss stands a fighting chance. Because even with legendary saves and legendary actions, a 6-on-1 fight, the players usually just take it.
Right.
So, obviously, I don't want spoilers for your game, and I would expect you to give them to me. But I wonder what kind of mooks a Sararak would have in our game.
So looking at a Lich stat block, they have Animate Dead.
Ah, yes.
So there's the possibility of that.
He would, yeah, that makes sense that we would walk in and he would already have zombies, like a battalion of skeletons, just like a firing squad.
Yeah, while you're gone, I went through the spell list and kind of yayed and nayed what I wanted. And 5th level is Cloud Kill and Scrying. And I would not have Scrying because he was scryed yesterday and known you were coming today.
Ah, fuck.
So why would he prepare Scrying?
You know, it's a really good 5th level spell. A very dramatic one for combat. It came out in not Dance Macabre, not fucking Tasha's. What the fuck is it? Xanathar's. Xanathar's got this really great 5th level spell called Dance Macabre. 5th level, like a 1 action or 1 bonus action. You target up to 10 humanoids, and they just get the fuck back up right now. It's not like a ritual or anything. It's like a 4 combat. A bunch of baddies get up, like, and that the visual on that is stunning. Like, it's temporary, so they're not like the 24-hour zombies or skeletons that you carry around and like make you forced to carry your gold for you. These are like the power, like the Power Rangers walk in and you need a bunch of putties to fight them right now. And they only last for like 10 minutes or something.
It's an hour.
That's a pretty good 5th level spell. Lasts for an hour. Okay, so it's like combat Animate Dead.
Yeah.
And
5
for like
zombies and
visuals, you
skeletons.
can't.
Yeah, good.
Like I can just imagine the fucking music that plays when he does that. Fuck, that shit's dramatic.
I need to use music more. I don't use music enough.
Yeah. You've got the Diablo soundtrack bumping in your map.
Yeah, it just plays in the background though. It's always coincidence when it crescendos at the right time.
Definitely. Even when I'm running my games and I hand select my music, it's rare that it like works perfectly.
Right.
So I'm like I'm illustrating all these scenes in my head where things happen to the beat of the music or the crescendo of the music. Life seldom works out that way. If I was like a better DJ, I could like crossfade into like sections of music that I wanted to use. But who the fuck has time for that? Shit. Maybe someday. Someday.
When you're a professional DM.
Yeah. I've been reading about that. Like, that's the new company retreat, like for Silicon Valley. Rather than going to paintball or whatever fucking team building exercise, you take your nerdy programmer, like, coworkers to a D&D session. And they team build and they, have, like, work therapy through there, basically, or whatever the fuck. And that's, like, a better touchstone for them. And these professional DMs in Silicon Valley, they're charging like $200, $300, $500 a pop. These fucking sessions. And I'm like, how the fuck? Shit. And I gotta wonder, like, what is the ceiling for that gotta be like? What do I need to feel like it's worth it for me to charge $500 for someone to do a session for them? I wonder.
I don't know.
Gotta fucking.
And I've seen $100 a head.
Fuck, dude. That is a fuck. I don't want to issue any call outs to my friends in Silicon Valley. I don't have any, but we are kindred spirits, they and I feel. And, hustle, get that bread. I feel for you. That is a fucking racket. Holy shit. That's a fucking racket and a half, my friends.
Yep.
Very good.
And I mean, it depends on how many repeat customers you get. But I mean, I could see sinking a lot of time into a session, I would say probably to feel good about it, I'd have to put in at least 2 hours of prep to every hour that I want the session to go. But if I could recycle sessions as well.
True, if you have different customers. Yeah.
I mean, it's something I've thought a lot about. It's something that I haven't jumped into, but I need to, and just test the waters and see how it goes.
Yeah, man.
Because I know like people do roll 20 $5 a game, or
Fuck.
$5 a head, and people pay it.
Yeah, they're like, and I don't know. I'm not like charging per head because I don't really because these are my friends that I'm running for. These are people that I know and
Right.
see every day. But there have been times where I'm like, hey, this new book came out. If you guys want to each, if you kick me $10, I can buy the new book and we can all use it on D&D Beyond.
Yep.
That's kind of like the new paying for the pizza kind of thing. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
you're crowdsourcing your experience,
Mhm.
and that's fine. I feel like the experience would have to be tailored around. I feel like you really need to. There's risk. I feel because I feel like you really need to know your players to have a guaranteed good experience. Because there are going to
Definitely.
be some players in Silicon Valley, for instance, who are seasoned D&D players who maybe have played the modules you're going to be using before, or they are very genre savvy. And there's folks who've never played before at all, and like in the middle of combat, they're like, "I'd like to have an extended conversation with this orc. Let's talk things out."
Um, I liken it to playing at conventions.
That's true because you never know what you're going to get. Well,
Exactly.
well, at conventions, you know you're going to be getting convention goers.
But are they new to D&D or not?
True.
I've run a lot of AL at conventions. Um, every convention I've gone to, I've ran at least, I think it was 12 hours to get a badge.
Wow.
So I didn't have to pay for it. So that's at least 3 sessions if they're long ones, the 4 hour modules, or more if they're short ones.
Huh.
And I mean, it was pretty much all I did. I'd wander around and hang out, but usually I would run some sessions and then I'd run whatever epic there was. And I definitely had a mix of players. I had some people who were like, "Yeah, we've been gaming together for years, and we just like to do conventions, so show us a good game." You know. And then I've had
Yeah.
people who are like, "This is my son. He's new to gaming, so let's help him out." And then people who are just brand new. I don't even have a character. How do I make a character?
Fuck.
Yeah.
Adventures League. Man, those were the halcyon days, my friend, when I first started playing. Right on the cusp, right before they ruined it. No, I'm done being salty. It's fine. I love homebrew even more, and I've never looked back.
The problem with Adventurers League is that they're trying to please all the people and keep some sort of like similar experience.
Mm.
And the problem with that is there's been what, 9 seasons, 10 seasons now,
It's not possible.
and yeah, it's that. I mean, it shouldn't be restricted to a season, right? But it should be. You should make a character for each season, I think.
Yeah.
Because you don't need the same 20th level character who's played all along coming up again, you know? And if you
Yeah.
want to play the same character, make the same character, you know? You know where they're going
Yeah.
to go. You know how it's going to work out. They're going to get different magic items and have a different adventure.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's people who are like, well, I only got the 10th level this season. I'd like to, continue on in the next season.
Yeah.
So you have to find that balance that says, okay, you can do that, but your guy with fucking 40 magic items, has to be limited somehow. It's not always fun when one guy just walks through all the encounters for you, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And I believe there is like DM ability to control that. Um, it's not it's not an expected ALDM skill to have
It's true.
because the mods are really easy to run. Um, and I've gotten a lot of people to start DMing just by saying, just pick one up, do a short one, do the intro, 5 1 hour adventures, boom, now you're a DM.
Pretty much.
um, but there's got to be some sort of equalization of play, right? What they're looking for is that water cooler sitcom thing where you can go, oh, I play Tomb of Horrors, and this is what happened to us, and it's exactly the same structure but different players doing different things. Did I lose you? You are gone. Hello?
It was addictive, I will say. I don't know, man. I liked being high level and having a lot of magic items.
Mhm.
I liked having the persistent character through all these different ages
Yeah.
and different campaigns. And it it was the age of Marvel before Endgame, before the spell was broken, and people were just like all hopped up on consistency between worlds and going, "Wow, look, it's all connected." And that novelty only ever really, I feel like, I'm not saying the two are intimately connected, but the novelty wore off for me.
Hmm.
One, when they began severely limiting
You're cutting in and
could
out.
have, and two, when, oh man, damn it!
Keep going though. It makes
But I've
sense.
done all this work to limit my bandwidth. All right, so Marvel movies. I feel like the two are connected because one, there's a novelty there that has to do with everything being connected and a persistence of story.
Mhm.
So your level 20 character, to me, felt earned.
Yes.
I felt like I'd put in a lot of work, and I liked dicking around a level 20 character with my other level 20 buddies.
Mhm.
And, it was comedic. There are lots of comedic elements, and the atmosphere was very convivial, and that was fun. And then, unbeknownst to me, because I'd only ever gamed in the one small town.
Mhm.
Apparently, there was a whole world of Adventures League players out there who go to different tables with their level 20 characters, and they monopolize sessions, and they game the system, like breaking and destroying their own magic items through convoluted means, so that they have the least amount, so that they get to pick first when the magic item they want comes through, sniping items out from other players, and not communicating with each other, not being disingenuous about their intentions and their needs. And unbeknownst to me, all this was occurring on a daily basis in towns all across the US of A. And this apparently was a problem. Such a problem that WotC thought it prudent to come to my house, and say, "No, Tristan, you've been a bad boy. We're taking away your cubic gate, and you get 3 treasure points." And I said, but, and they said, "No,
Yeah.
you will sit down and you will play this module and you will like it." And I said, "Well, okay, I'll try." And then they said, "Oh, also, you can only have 6 magic items ever."
Right.
So get rid of the 30 magic items you've collected, and you may have 6. You're level 20, you can have 6. You're level 5, you can have 2.
Yeah. And we've already decided which ones you can't have. So here's a list.
Such
Cross those off
problem
first.
that it's now like a Fisher Price D&D. Like, what's great about D&D was how, to me, how not be maniacal.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing I personally experienced, but there are people out there who are just, you know, they game the system.
Yep.
They lie on their fucking sheets.
Yep.
They look up what module it came from. They wrote down that they played it. They add the magic item.
I'm gonna offer a confession here. And this is my come to Jesus moment. You can feel free to report me to Wizards of the Coast, who can forever disbar me from playing professional events if you wish. I once lied about a magic item that I had so that I could trade it to another player for a magic item that I wanted. And for a week after, I was extremely guilty about this imaginary thing that I had perpetrated, this imaginary thought crime that I had committed. And I thought, that man, he's going to go to other tables. He's not really going to have a belt of fire giant strength that I gave him. It's all, I made it all up on a whole cloth. The fantasy IRS, they're going to get me. So I'm no longer taking that to my grave. I don't know. Homebrew's better anyway. Do what you want. I
agree. But Adventures League is out there for people who don't have a DM or don't know how to play and want to learn. It's there to really what it's there for is to bring people to the game. And the way it was running was pushing people away from the game.
Yep.
They'd show up and be like, "Oh, I don't have all that shit. I don't know what to do with that." That's what the whole PHB +1 rule was for. Oh, so someone doesn't sit down and go, "Oh, I need to have all these books to play." I have to cherry pick out of every single book to find the best thing to play. I can't just walk in with fucking the SRD.
God damn.
Um,
No, little Timmy, you've got to spend money.
yep. Yeah, but I think
God damn.
I haven't read the AL rules in like 2 or 3 seasons. But I see a lot less bitching about it, especially since they dropped PHP plus 1. They knew they were going to have to do it eventually, I think.
Yeah.
They just held on to it as long as they could.
Pretty much.
And
I regret the way I acted around some of my friends because of AL.
Yeah.
Like, some people were like, let's do homebrew. And I was like, no, man, I got to keep chasing that fucking high, dude. I need that fucking Belt of Fire Giant strength.
You're like, I got this piece of paper here. It says what I've gotten and how I've gotten it. Let me just fill out a couple more rows.
Mm-hmm. So special.
The portability of AL is really nice too, because like if you move, you can just jump into an AL game with your character you have already.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of when we played D&D when we were kids. We all had characters that would go to different places, right? I'd have my character that I've been playing, and then I'd bring it over to somebody's house and I'd play in their game, bring it over to somebody else's house, I'd play in their game. So it was very it was very portable between the games. And I think that was a lot of fun. And that's what AL reminds me of, even though I never did that. I pretty much played in 2 places. And after like 2 months, I pretty much just ran.
Yeah, that was it.
But there was a point I was coming to, but I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I'm some people ruin it for everybody.
It's true. I'm actually moving soon, so I may have to make use of the portability of AL.
Where are you moving to?
Well, Oscar and I are looking at apartments in New York.
Holy shit. That's a big move.
Well, we've been talking about it for a very long time. And with the stimulus and our tax returns and maybe selling Oscar's old car that he got, we may have an opportunity to actually act on those dreams.
Nice.
And I want to be a writer professionally. I don't want to be a fucking Staples manager the rest of my life. So New York, if you want to be a writer, New York is one of the best places to do it.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And Oscar didn't grow up in New York, but he spent a number of years there. And to him, it was like the best place he ever lived.
Nice.
Like there's so much art and culture there. And he's just, it's like his zone,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of appeal for both of us to go there.
That's awesome.
And yeah. I just need to do it.
Just get good internet so we can still do this.
Yes, that is the plan, and that is the hope. I need the Wi-Fi, the good Wi-Fi.
No, I'll get the wire.
Get the wire, huh?
With the wire coming from the wall. Fuck Wi-Fi.
Hardline. You're right. Hardline's always better.
Mm-hmm. Tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
I can have my laptop next to the router, and it's still like 1/10 the speed.
Yeah.
My hardline.
It's true. God damn. But that's a long way off. Initially, we were hoping for August, but probably not. Probably going to be closer to November if it happens this year.
Yeah. That's awesome. I hope you guys can do it. New York seems like a super cool place. I love the big city feel. But I never leave my house, so I don't care. All right. Well, it looks like your internet connection is getting worse.
Yes, it is.
All right. It's a good time to wrap it up.
Yeah. New York is a super cool place.
Yeah, I've never actually been there.
We found a place with... Neither have I. We want to visit before we pull a trigger, familiarize ourselves with like different neighborhoods, find some like good like local places to eat and to play games. And we found a couple apartments because of the mass exodus caused by the plague. So there's this plague caused by the plague. We found a couple apartments that have crazy good deals. There's one that's like 3 months rent free,
wow,
no down payment. and like after that, it's only 1,500 a month.
Damn.
It's like 5 minutes away from both of our jobs. So like, holy shit, it's like almost too good to be true.
That's awesome.
Knock on wood. But that's the yeah. And if I move, God willing, I will continue to do this because what would I do without you, Rich? I don't know what it was, but I'm not really having a lot more trouble planning out my games.
Well, I love having you as a
Very
player
helpful.
too.
Thank you. So, when do you think you'll have the previous episode recorded out?
I don't know. I've just been slacking. Like I forgot
I've...
that I edit podcasts, I guess. I don't know. I have 3 I have to do for Jason. He texted me yesterday. He was like, "Hey man, you all right? I haven't heard from you in a week."
Jesus.
I was like, yeah, I'm fine." I was like, I don't know. I took vacation, I guess.
That works because I kind of want to make sure that one releases after I have revealed the denouement, the betrayal that I've got planned for my 7th level of my game.
Okay, well, I'll put it all together and I'll just send it to you, like I did the last one.
No worries. Thank you.
And then yeah, I need to just like edit for the next 2 days, I think.
Woo!
Because I have no idea. Like I've got like 4 sessions downloaded for us, and I really want to get last week's session up, or yesterday's, 2 days ago, whatever it was.
Hell yeah!
I think it was really good. I don't know how listening to it'll be, but yeah.
When you cut up the dead air, a lot of it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Do you have like a specific program that just automatically cuts out dead air?
Yeah, it's called Descript. It's $15 a month.
That? Oh, it's a subscription.
Yeah, so it'll transcribe it, and it'll cut out dead air. I can specify how long. So like you can do 3-second dramatic pauses and it won't cut it out.
Huh.
And then it'll cut out all the ums, like all the filler words. It's got a whole list of them.
Wow.
Yeah. It'll cut out double words. So if you go like, it'll cut out 2 of those.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not flawless. I have to listen to it definitely, and make sure it doesn't sound too choppy. But yeah, it turns out really good. You've heard it.
I wish there was subscription models bother me, man. I wish I could just pay like a one-time fee and just own the goddamn thing.
Yeah, nobody's doing this though. Nobody's doing this. And then everything that I edit is stored on their system. I don't think there's any limit to it. So I can just download Descript on a different computer and do it from there. I'm using their processing for the most part. It does eat up some of my processor. So if I'm doing something else, it interrupts it. So like if I'm playing a video game in the background, it'll like make the video game choppy depending on what video game I'm playing. I'll get lag, but it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. All right. I just got a text that Zoom died, and there we go. So, yeah, I'll get on this tonight. I'll get on the edits. Talk to you later. All right. So, yeah, that's it. Anybody who's still here. Topair and Divests, if you are not bots, thanks for hanging out.